All right, welcome back everyone. Today we're going to learn how to make 9 chords, okay? Basically, a 9 chord is the combination of an add 2 chord and a 7 chord. And we're in this series called Structured Practice, which basically takes 1 chord and goes through all 12 keys. So I have a whole playlist starting with the major chords all the way through some pretty complex chords. So check that out if you haven't already. And today we're working on 9 chords. So like I said, it kind of combines an add 2 chord with a 7 chord because 2 plus 7 equals 9. Okay, so think about it that way. You need this 7 and then you need the 2 in order to make a 9 chord. And as you start to get to some of these more complex chords, there's a lot of different ways you can voice these chords. So like if I were to just spell this out like this, C chord with my 7 and my 2, that is what makes a 9 chord. So it's, you know, all of a sudden the voicings can start getting very spread out. You have the B flat plus the D is what makes the 9 chord. Now, I want to kind of approach it a little differently to make this more manageable, okay? So one thing I'm going to do is start with the 7, okay? So we'll start with the 7, which is below the root by a whole step below C, which is our root. That makes a C7 chord. And then I'm going to take the root and I'm going to get rid of it because I already have it down here on the left hand. So I have a C. I don't need 2 C's necessarily. I'm going to make the root go up to the add 2, right? So like our add 2 would be this or this, right? That's our add 2. In this case, we have the 7 plus the 2 equals the 9, okay? So you have 1, 5, 7, and the 2 is the 9, and then the 3 and the 5th, which is just part of our major chord, right? So that's our voicing. 7, 2, 3, and 5 on our right hand. Okay, so that's our C9 chord. And I like these even more than just the regular 7 chord. Basically, anywhere there's a 7 chord, you could use a 9 chord. That's sort of our default. Anytime you see a C7, try using a C9, okay? And it just adds a little bit more color. Just like you can use an add 2 anywhere there's a major chord, like if you see a C chord written on a chart, try adding the 2, right? sus2, it just kind of works. Same thing with a C7, you can add the 2 and it becomes a 9 chord. And it just adds, it sort of like softens the tone of the 7 chord, especially if you have, remember how we talked about the C7 being on the top octave? It's sort of in your face. Well, that 2, even in that case, the add 2 sort of softens it up a little bit. So 7, 2, which is the 9. So there's our C9 chord. Let's take this through all 12. Okay, so we start with the F, going around the circle of fifths, add the 7, move the root on the right hand up a whole step. So you have E flat, G, A, and C, which is 7, 2, 3, and 5, or 7, 9, 3, and 5 of the F chord. Good. B flat's next. B flat, add the 7, and then move the right hand root up to the 2. So A flat, C, D, F, or 7, 9, 3, 5. Same voicing for all of these, okay? Voicing is just the way you arrange the notes. E flat, 7, and then the E flat moves up to the 9 because we already have it in the root. We don't need it, you know, more than once necessarily. Good. E flat 9 right there. D flat, F, G, and B flat. Good. A flat, take it to A flat. So next in the circle of fifths, drop it to the 7, take the A flat on the right hand and move it up a whole step to the 9. So 7, 9, 3, 5. Pretty cool sound, right? D flat. Take it to the 7. Take the root up to the 2. 7, 9, 3, 5. Good. G flat. 7, 9. Quickly hitting on all of these. Let's go to B. You know how to make a B chord? Let's make it a 7. Take the B up to a 9. Very cool. E chord. Make it a 7. Make the root move up So the interesting thing is, of course, you don't have the root in your right hand, so it's important to start visualizing these even without the root as still an E chord of some kind. Even if you just did that, and you have the root on the bottom, being able to identify that is your E9 chord, even though there's no E in the right hand, it's in the left hand, right? So starting to be able to identify these all, that's where the sort of the process of just repetition comes in, right? How about A? There's our A9, right? 7, 9, 3, 5. D chord, D7, D9. Boom. Beautiful. G, G7, G9, right there. All right, let's do this with a metronome. And before we do that, if you haven't heard about it, I have this most amazing Church Piano 101 course that you might want to check out. If any of this is interesting to you, I go through all of this and more in my Church Piano 101 course. It's linked below. You can check out the first lesson for completely free, and you will get far if you take this course. I promise you'll learn something. All right, this is at 80 BPM, and we're going to go through all 12 of these 9 chords, all 12 9 chords. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, C. And that's all of them, folks. That's all 12 9 chords. So that's the real test. If you can do that, that makes it so that if you see it on a chord chart, you can easily identify it and go for it. I have a PDF that you can download for free, linked below, that kind of just reiterates what we talked about on how to build 9 chords, how to make them. But then, of course, this is the video on taking it through all 12 keys. That's the sort of final test. Can you do it through all 12 keys with a metronome? That means you can identify them quickly enough and play them. That's the standard that we want to live up to. All right, if you want to check out the next video in this series, check out this one over here. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.